Hi guys, it's Will from Will Chinese, and thank you so much for watching my video and start your learning process with me. And today I'm gonna point out some of the most different aspects of Chinese language that differ the most of those of English. And I think knowing this will kind of like give you a roadmap of the whole learning process, so you know what to expect in different learning phase. That didn't just like feeling just totally out of the blue or surprising and didn't know what to do, or didn't kind of like it's hard to wrap your minds around it. Chinese do have some really different aspects that English doesn't have, some features, and I think there are two most important ones that kind of like make the foreign Service Institute to categorize Chinese as the Category 5 language, which is it's the most difficult language for English speakers to learn, alongside Arabic, Japanese, and Korean. And but it just takes much more time than usual, and then in the end, it's no problem. And while I was gathering all this information and organize it and make it accessible for Chinese learners, I bumped into a video made by Paul in his channel Lame Focus. This is a really terrific video of covering the general aspects of different aspects of Chinese languages, including its features and characteristics, from its history, its cultures, and its phonetics, syntax, writing systems, and tones, and almost everything covered. It's a general coverage video, and it's really good. It's nicely made, and I strongly suggest if you are serious in learning a language, at least you need to know some key features, and this video will really help. So yeah, I will put links in the description box below, and if you have time, just to take a look. And if you don't have, I will just briefly mention two most important aspects that kind of pose as challenging features or challenging aspects of Chinese. The first one is Chinese. It's a tonal language, which means that we have tones, and tones carries meanings, which means that if you change the tone of your speech, it changes the meaning. The simplest one is for example, 熊猫, 熊, rising tone, 猫, the flat tone. If you say it like this, that means panda. If you say 胸毛, the first is a flat tone and then the rising tone, that means chest hair. So as these very simple examples illustrate that the tones that we use actually carries meanings, and it's a very important. It plays a really important roles in language, and sometimes it's challenging for people's that knows language doesn't have these features to kind of wrap their minds around this. But it's not okay. It's 5 tones. There are 5 tones, 4 tones plus 1 neutral tones. And let me throw some good news to you. There are practically 6 tones in Cantonese and 7 tones in Taiwanese. So yeah, does it help? Because the sense of dauntingness and the feelings of difficulty, it's kind of like a comparative idea. So knowing the fact that there are other languages with more tones, it kind of like ease all this daunting feelings, right? I wish that would help. But anyway, you will be fine. Just gradually and stay with me. And the other aspect of Chinese language is totally different from those of English, is that we use something called Chinese characters or Hanzi. Basically, that's just a logogram that represents the entire words and carries the units of meaning. And because we use that, it's not phonetic, which means that knowing the pronunciation of the words doesn't give you any indication of how to write it, and vice versa. It's like totally two independent things. So this feature is so much different from most of the Indo-European languages, including English, that if you know the words, and it kind of like give you an idea of how to spell it. But in Chinese, it's not the case. So for Chinese learners and for kids, there are some systems to mark how each characters are pronounced. And there are many systems. The most used one in mainland China is called Hanyu Pinyin. And the one used in Taiwan is called Bepemeve or Zhuyin. These things, it's merely an aid for Chinese learners or kids. And gradually, when you're getting familiar with all these characters, and then you discarded it gradually. So in the adult life, nobody uses those things. But it's important to learn it because nowadays we have computers, and those phonetic systems serve as a way to input Chinese characters into the computers. And speaking to Chinese character inputting methods, there are more than 5 or 6 different methods to input Chinese character into a computer. Most of the people use the phonetic system one. I personally use something called changjie, which just decompose a character into different parts of it. There are rules about it, and then for different parts of the decomposed part of the character, kind of like corresponds to keys in the keyboards, and then just type it in and merge it in. So there are both pros and cons of different input methods. For example, in changjie, if you don't know how to pronounce the character, you still can type it. And but for like phonetic inputting methods, you input and then you kind of like, there are a lot of the Chinese characters who have exactly the same pronunciation, so you have to choose which one you need to use. Sometimes it's a time-consuming process. But anyway, it's an interesting topic. So if you guys want to know more, I could make a video about this. So I think I diverge a bit. Okay, go back. So there's two features. One is a tonal language. The other one is not phonetic languages. Kind of pose like a really challenging hurdles for Chinese learners. And yeah, and since most of people are learning it using the system called Hanyu Pinyin, and I don't know that either. So I just like you guys, I started to learn it from scratch. And I found that most of the lectures just starting from going through the whole chart and explain each symbols, how it is pronounced, and give some examples. I found that this process is dull and boring. And I think it's the best cure for insomnia or something. So instead, I decided to start from learning some of the commonly used expressions that one would definitely encounter when on a daily basis when you are in Chinese-speaking countries, and gradually and sort out those expressions to you and explain how each character is pronounced and with the symbols, and gradually exhaust all the pinyin chart. So that I think this method will be better because it provides an imperative and dispensable elements of survival Chinese, and at the same time you learn how to pronounce as well. And yeah, and I think that most of the teaching material at the beginner learning phase will try to avoid giving you how to write the Chinese character. But I think since the independence of writing and pronunciation, I think the earlier exposure it's necessary. The earlier that you're exposed to this writing system, it's kind of like give you a way to gradually stay in your mind so that you won't have to specifically try to remember it. It's like a deja vu thing, you know. The first time you say it, you definitely wouldn't know what it is, but you kind of like know the shape of it. And the second time you see it, you will say that, okay, I know this character. Like last week, I learned this, but I just remember the rough shape of it, but I'm not exactly sure which stroke goes where exactly. But anyway, This is the second time I have some deja vu about this, and the third time, and the fourth time, and the fifth time. And then remember, voila! It's nice, right? So I think in my presentation of learning materials, I will provide both the simplified Chinese character and the traditional one, and you can choose whether you want to learn which one, learn both or just one of them. And one of the good news is that just pick one of the systems and learn it to a relatively proficient level, because for most little native speakers, there's basically no difficulties in reading either systems. So yeah, just stick with it, choose one of it, and then achieve some proficient level, and then you will be fine with the other systems. And then yeah, I will provide both. It depends on your need, whether you wanted to learn which one or you want to learn both of them. So yeah, and at the end of this video, I just wanted to show out that there are a group that I created. It's a Facebook learning group, and I'll put the links in the description box below. And yeah, I wanted to create it like a really nice family-like community of learning the language. And yeah, if you are interested, you can join it. And yeah, that wraps it up for this introductory video. And thank you so much for joining me, and see you next time.